and welcome back to the show. The Salvation Army helps annually over 30 million Americans overcome poverty, addiction, and economic hardships through a range of social services. The Salvation Army has activated its emergency disaster services personnel in the Northeast to meet the immediate needs of survivors and first responders affected by the remnants of Hurricane Ida, and also that severely impacted several states in our region, including Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, and of course, Connecticut. Here now and sharing more details is the General Secretary of the Salvation Army Greater New York Division, Major Kevin Stoops. And Major Stoops, good to have you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be with you today.
Great to be with you as well. And thank you for the work that you're doing, especially during this troubled time. I know we're a little bit out of Ida right now, but for a lot of people, it is still front and center. A lot of people dealing with it. And the Salvation Army has really been front and center. Share with us a little bit about the work that's going on in really helping New Yorkers and people across the tri-state area, including Delaware. I don't want Delaware to feel left out, that have actually been impacted by Ida and your volunteer services.
Sure. Well, the region that I oversee is here in the Greater New York region. And our response was immediate right on that Wednesday night and into the Thursday to really start helping people who are impacted by the flood. When water comes into your house or your building, it's devastating. It's devastating emotionally. It's devastating in a physical way. And that's exactly what we've seen. So into four really key areas that were impacted highly, the Mamaroneck area, Queens, Staten Island, parts of Brooklyn, other parts of New York that were impacted. But the Salvation Army mobilized their mobile units with volunteers and employees to start helping people with flood cleanup kits, with food assistance if they needed it. But I want to tell you that Salvation Army does two things. One, they do things that have some visibility with it, that is things that you can touch. So food assistance, cleanup kits, and a person. One of our volunteers had someone come up to them, they asked them, they said, "Hey, what do you need?" And the person just simply looked at them in a helpless look and said, "I need a hug." And that's how devastated they were. The mud in their car, the mud in their house, the water damage that was done, throwing things onto the curb that were very valuable to them. All they needed at that time was the presence of a person. And we were able to provide that. But other things that we're able to provide are invisible, Darren, and this sometimes gets overlooked. And the invisible things that the Salvation Army brings to bear is faith. Faith that things can get better from this point forward, and also hope. And when we instill hope in people that they're not alone, that we're here to help them through this storm, then that hope motivates them to really begin to bring resources to bear that they didn't even realize they had to help them improve the situation they're in. It's not easy, but those are the things that the Salvation Army has been doing. Many volunteers, many people, many cleanup kits being handed out.
You work in the area of disaster services. That's a component of what you do. But for those people that have been working with you, boots on the ground, out there in the Mamaroneck area, out there across New York City, talk to us about what you heard from them in terms of the impact, the devastation, because for a lot of people, it's something that we have not seen here in New York.
That's right. One of the things, I just spoke to one of our workers today, this morning, and what she said to me was this. She said, pictures do not give the picture of what happened, of the devastation. You can't get the smell into a picture. You can't get the feel of mud into the picture. And so what people are seeing boots on the ground is that people's lives, the things that they had invested their money into and their time, is now sitting out on the curb because it's been destroyed. And it's been destroyed by water, and it's been destroyed by the mud that comes with that. And so it's not easy to replace those. Fortunately, those are things that can be replaced, but it's not easy to replace the emotional impact. And so with the Salvation Army having people coming along the street, just walking the street and knocking on doors saying, "What do you need?" It gives an opportunity for people to experience emotional and some spiritual care that they might not have even realized they needed. And they received that from the Salvation Army.
Yeah. Well, in addition to working in the disaster area, and again, thank you for the work the Salvation Army is doing and really helping people recover because it really is a trying time for so many people across the United States and right here in New York and also in the tri-state area. But in addition to what you've done with disaster preparedness, I know that you also work with families,
Yeah.
and some of those families really have some challenges. But I know with children, you've got a learning program that's designed to help children out. Can you give us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Salvation Army operates six after-school learning sites. These are education centers that operate once the school day ends at 3 o'clock and goes till 6 o'clock to accentuate the learning that's taken place in the classroom. It will continue in a setting that we provide. Now, these are, you would imagine in these days with the COVID still going on, these are safe places for people to go. These are still places that people can go in person in a safe way and have socialization take place, activities, learning zone material being done, so that parents are confident that their children are in a safe place, that their children are receiving some educational support, homework help, if you will, and they're also receiving an opportunity to be kids once their school day is done. And what a joy it is to work with these over 500 children each day in these six sites that provide this kind of support to parents who desperately need it at this time.
Yeah. And also, I want to share with us, our viewers, a little bit about 9/11. Very important for us here in New York, a very sacred time for all of New York and literally the United States. I don't want to discount that, but particularly here in New York, the mecca of that destruction on that day. You have a very special remembrance that took place as well on 9/11.
Yeah, on the 10th year anniversary, the Salvation Army hosted a healing and remembrance service at its downtown location on 14th Street. We decided that we would do that again at the 20th anniversary here of 9/11. We'll gather at the 14th Street location of the Salvation Army. We're going to be plugged into the live feed of the reading of the names of the people that were that lost their lives on 9/11. And so many families were impacted by that loss of life. So we're going to be plugged into the reading of names. But more importantly than that, the Salvation Army, as well as some partner organizations, are going to have some opportunities, some wraparound services provided so that people can continue to experience healing from the events of 9/11. These things would be like mental health resources, social group resources that people could plug into, even some things for their own physical bodies, of making sure that they're plugged into, if anyone is still not signed up with the 9/11 fund for health services, things like that, all provided by partner agencies and the Salvation Army. What a joy it is to be able to come together in person and help each other heal and remember the events of 9/11. And the Salvation Army is doing their part on that day.
Yeah. During this pandemic, we've seen a great amount of volunteerism, people really in the midst of their own trouble, taking the time out to volunteer. How can people play a part in joining the Salvation Army in some of their efforts?
Yeah, the best way is to sign up on salvationarmyny.org. That's our website, and you'll see opportunities there to sign up as a volunteer. I want to tell you, one of the fears that we had going into the pandemic was that because of social distancing and safety guidelines, people were just going to give up about volunteering and helping other people. Boy, we didn't see that at all. Because every single one of our centers became a feeding center, 38 feeding centers around the region. We needed an army to get food out to people that were hungry.
And volunteers, an army.
Yeah, an army needed an army. And I tell you what, volunteers stepped up, even really putting themselves at risk, would you say, to be right in there preparing food boxes, giving those to people who are in need, sometimes delivering them to the front porches of other people simply because they wanted to help. And they found a great vehicle for helping through the Salvation Army.
Yeah. Major Kevin Stoops, I know words are sometimes inadequate, but thank you for the work of Salvation Army, particularly in New York, for helping those who've been affected by Ida and the great work that you guys continue to do. It's been a joy having you here on the show, and certainly want to have you back.
Daren, thank you very much for the opportunity. Bless you too.
Major Kevin Stoops, our guest here on Open. Now, if you want more information about the Salvation Army, we encourage you to visit their website at salvationarmyny.org or follow them on social media at Salvation Army NY. We do have more show here on Open. We encourage you to stay connected to us. Open returns coming up right after this.